Do I love reading? Exactly what the government tells me to on a case-to-case basis, centered around appropriate subject material related to my age, maturity, and social education, based around my community. The banning of books has been around for centuries, dating past Roman days. Books can be banned for many reasons, but the biggest being sexual content, use of drugs or alcohol, intense scenes of violence, or rising in society and anarchy. You know, the usual. Now, we must protect our youth, because protecting our youth is priority number one, no matter how far we must go. Because our children are extremely impressionable and have no bearing for what's right or wrong. The times are changing though, and the rules of censorship are also changing. Every day, our knowledge is growing, ever rapidly because of the internet. Now, I do agree that high school, or any public school for that matter, shouldn't be home to a book that teaches you how to make a pipe bomb. But to be honest, I'd be kind of interested. Now, I base that solely on the fact of my own curiosity of just how things work. And is that not the point of a library? To be an open resource that doesn't judge you when you walk in the door? Now, at one point in history, books were banned by being burned. In fact, Socrates, in 399 BC, was charged with corrupting the youth for his teachings that didn't follow their religious beliefs at the time. In which case, he had his books burned in front of him. However, since the invention of the printing press in 1450, sense method has not quite worked out as well, and it's disappeared. Now, there are two different pieces to this story. There are very different sides that come into this. Banning a book from a public library is one thing. Banning a book from a school library is one thing, but taking it out of the hands of a public is much different. The greatest attribute of America is that we live in a free country, where censorship is left in the hands of our parents and what they choose us to see. When the government steps in and takes control over that, they spit in the face of what America stands for, and that censorship that they leave in the hands of our parents. And as I mentioned before, I don't want to build a pipe bomb, but it's the science behind it that fascinates me. It's the technical ingenuity that went behind it, the thinking, who came up with that idea? Now, yes, I could use this knowledge for a terrible purpose. But I'd also like to believe that anyone looking to build a pipe bomb isn't going to take a stroll down to their local library for a bit of light reading. But on a much larger list, public libraries have, or school libraries, have a much larger list of books banned. Some that may surprise you, such as The Grapes of Wrath, The Catcher in the Rye. Even Captain Underpants is a banned book in the US schools. So, why do you think that is? Captain Underpants, just for an example, was banned based on the fact that in the book, the two main characters, which are children, which this is what a lot of banning books takes place around, the children disobey their authority coming from their teacher as well as police and their families. Now, this is a comic book, and it's supposed to be taken as a piece of satire. However, enough charges have been brought against it that it's been taken off. So I ask you this. Should we let the government weigh in so heavily on what we read? Or do we leave it in the hands of ourselves, govern what we read, and what is appropriate subject material for each of us?